Mann som verkar bruka snuttelur.
Hello everyone, this is Shauna with Disrupt Apps, and today I want to see about doing another Linux video, and this time I want to talk about doing a dual boot with Windows 7 and Linux. And you can see here I've got an old ISO on an old Windows 7 Ultimate, and I've got my USB flash drive. That's the bootable drive for Linux Mint 22, I believe, and then I've got an old 60 gig SSD that's ancient, and I've got this another old Dell that I have laying around, and I'm getting it hooked up and making sure it works, and so we'll see how it all works out. I've always said about always check your battery for your BIOS, and we've got a warning message here. It says system voltage is low, and that means that, hey, the computer's saying, hey, change your CMOS battery. Alright, so I've replaced my CMOS battery, and we've got this screen here. So we're probably going to have to fool around with the BIOS here to get the boot order set up and make sure all the SATA 0, 1, and 2 are all configured properly. And you want to come in here, and looking in here, you have your hard drive, right? Your SSD, and it's connected to port SATA 0, and you can, I don't know if you can see it here, you have SATA 0, and you have SATA 1 and SATA 2. So you have to be careful of these things when working with these old Dells. And so SATA 2 is actually the DVD drive, right? Okay, and then here I've got the disk ready to go. Now we just have to fool with things and make it work. So I'm entering the boot menu. I'm hitting F2. Alright, let's look at the settings here. I'm going to back my camera out a little bit so you can see everything. And let's see here. Date and time, we need to fix that. Tab, it's 8. And I have no idea what today is. Why isn't it? It should come down here and hit apply, but I don't know why it's. Maybe I need to back out of it. Tab out of it. So this is something we're going to have to fool around with, is the boot sequences. And starting off, we're going to do the Windows 7 disk. So what we want to do is we want to disable the USB device for now, and we want to use the onboard or USB CD-ROM drive. We want to move this up a level because we want to boot off the disk first, right? In theory, that should how it works. Let's go ahead and hit apply. And we'll come down here to the drives, and we need to look. And SATA is configured for the RAID on every boot. I'm not sure. We might have to play around with this, but the drives is what I want to check out. So we've got SATA 0 and SATA 1. We don't have the SATA 2 connected. So SATA 0 is connected to my 64 gig SSD, and then SATA 1 is connected to the disk. So that's good. Might need to look into the ACHI or HCI. I did this a long time ago, and I either had to move it to Legacy or HCI, and I might need to go Google that real quick, but if RAID is, let's go with Legacy for right now and see what happens. And hit apply and exit, and let's see if we'll get if this thing will boot. And so what I want to do is I just want to go ahead and disable the hard drive and force it to explicitly boot off of the CD-ROM. Let's see if this works. It says press any key to boot from the DVD, and it says Windows is loading files. So we'll see how this works out. I'm going to go ahead and kill the video to save disk space, memory space on my drive. Well, we have something promising here. Fiddling with these things is fun. There's always some sort of headache you're going to have to deal with. And my battery's starting to get low on my camera, so I'm going to need to hook it up and start charging it. But I have enough to get this started. So this will do a basic Windows install like we've done 100 times before. Hit next. Accept the licensing term. Next. Install a new copy of Windows. Let's just go ahead and I think this disk was formatted, so I'm just going to go ahead and run on the partition 2 and hit next. And we're going to be doing the standard Windows 7 install. Well, it's keep on going. It's it's installing. So far so good. I'm still doing some installation, and one thing I'm a little worried about is the BIOS setup, but we'll look at that in a minute. I switched out a Wi-Fi mouse for a old school wired mouse to make it work. But what's funny is that the BIOS wouldn't recognize the wired mouse, and it recognized the Wi-Fi mouse. And let's see what happens if we boot. Okay, so now we need to go back in here and we need to change the boot menu, or the boots. Well, maybe not. Yeah, maybe it automatically went ahead and sought the drive, but we can fix that later. But okay, it's still doing its boot stuff. Okay, so we're making progress. I'm just gonna say cheese PC. Hey, why not? I had pizza last night, so yeah. Let's just skip this for now. I don't want to do a password. We're just gonna skip that for now. Ask me later. Yeah, it is that time. Alright, so we have installed, it looks like, we have successfully installed Windows Ultimate 7. And I'm curious to see how wide the Windows installation expanded on this disk, to see how much room we have left. Come here, and everything's working so far. Come to computer. Alright, well, that's not bad. I don't know if you can see that. We've got 38.7 gigs of 59.5 gigs free. So that'll give us enough room to put a install of Linux Mint. So we'll move on to the next thing. I'm going to go ahead and shut down the computer and get prepared. Oh yeah, but you need to eject the media from the computer. Yeah, we don't want to boot this thing again, so let's go ahead and take that out. Oh yeah, and I got an old beater PC here. You can see the buttons missing, right? I can close that. This thing is all loose, but again, I'm just here to demo, to show you how this works. But the button's missing, so I've been using this Phillips screwdriver to reset the thing. Alright, so we've got the Windows 7 installed, and now we need to get back into our boot menu so we can boot from the bootable USB that I have, okay? So let's go ahead and get that started and get back in the BIOS, hit F2. Alright, we'll come here to boot sequence, and then you want to change that to, see, now my wired mouse won't work, so I gotta go get my Wi-Fi mouse and plug it back in, because computers are funny like that. I don't know. I'll go ahead and get my USB mouse working again. Alright, so we want to go ahead and unclick that, uncheck that, and then we want to do the USB device here. And we're going to put the, so go ahead and take the USB drive and we'll go put it in the rear I/O of the computer, because that's the best place to put it. instead of the front panel, because you never know if the front panel is going to work or not. You generally, the rear I/O always works, but you never know. Let's go ahead and exit, and let's see if we can get this thing to boot from the bootable USB with the Mint on it. I'm going to go ahead and hit hard refresh or hard reset on the front panel. Let's see what happens. Alright, so we have our... Alright, well, I lied. We have Debian. So I need to go make a Mint install. So let me go ahead and go do that. Alright, hello. It's me over here at my work laptop, and I'll show you where to get the Linux Mint. You just type in Linux Mint download, come to the Linux Mint page. So you come down here and you can just download the Cinnamon edition of it, and that's what I'll be installing on the dual boot. So I've already downloaded prior, so I won't download it here, but what you'll get is you'll get an ISO, right? It'll be an ISO file. And then here, right next to this file that I have, is I have a thing called Rufus. And if you don't know about Rufus, it creates bootable flash drives for you and other media. And all you have to do is come to Rufus, just type in Rufus, and generally it comes up and you'll have the create a bootable USB drive the easy way. And you'll come to this page, you're going to get, if you don't not running Brave or something, you're going to get blasted with ads, and you need to come down here. Don't click any of these downloads. These are all like ads. The actual download is right here, the executable, and I've already downloaded this prior, so I'm not going to download it, and that's basically right here. So to make a bootable drive, what you'll want to do, I'm going to go ahead and install my drive that I have, and as we saw, that had had Debian on it. So we'll go ahead and make this drive that I just inserted the Mint install, right? So Rufus makes it really easy, right? And we'll come here to Rufus, double click to open the executable, and you see that the device here was pre-named before. So that's make sure you have the flash drive that you want to use, or the thumb drive, right? And then you want to, I keep all this stuff default, and you just hit select, and we'll come down here. You want to select the ISO and hit open, and you can see it already changed everything, right? And I keep all this stuff the same. I don't really change it. And you can see here the volume label. This is what, when you stick it into the machine, that's what the machine's going to recognize like the drive name as, which is really convenient. And so you can see here, quick format, Rufus will do the formatting for you, so you don't have to do that beforehand. And just hit start, and it's going to throw some little things up here, and it just ignore them and hit OK and hit OK, and then it's going to do its thing, and we'll watch it pop up here. And this is the actual bootable disk, right? Linux Mint right here, E, and you can see it's putting the files in there. I'll go ahead and move this out of the way, move it over. It doesn't take too long, but you can probably like walk away and alrighty, we've got our Linux Mint 22 Cinnamon 64. We've got it ready, and all you have to do is close it, and Rufus has done its thing, and now we have our bootable disk. And good practice is to eject. Just don't pull out the USB drive, always eject it. Okay, and let's head over to the Dell and see if we can get this thing installed. Alrighty, so we're over here at the Dell old clunker, and I'm going to put the drive in the rear I/O, because it's always best practice to put it in the rear I/O. Generally they don't fail, but you never know. And let's see here, let's get this thing, and we already put it to the USB flash drive is a bootable, the first, so let's see if it's going to cooperate with us. Alright, so we have Linux Mint, right? And then we'll go ahead and start it. Alright, when it went through its stuff and now we got the Mint, right? Yeah, so let's go ahead and do an install. Now here's where the fun part's going to be. You come up here to install Linux Mint. The install here, try and get this focused a little bit more. Go to English. And then English. It's doing its thing, taking its time. I'm going to skip the codecs for now to expedite the video. Now here's the important part. Here's if you want to do a dual boot, is when you come to this installation type. Install Linux Mint alongside Windows 7. You have that option. You can erase and install Linux Mint, which is not what we want to do if we want a dual boot, and something else. Now let's just go ahead and explore something else really quick. And what this is going to do is it's going to show you like a partition, right? And this is if you really want to get nuts and bolts, but for like the average user, Mint will make it really easy to do that. Now, I was wrong in my answer to a comment out here. Documents, music, and other personal files will be kept. You can choose which operating system you want each time you start up. Okay, so I may be wrong on that, but if you always want to, if you do a dual boot, you always want to save any files just in case something happens, okay? So we'll go ahead and go run with that and hit continue. And it has this nice visual thing here for you to do. So you can see here, you can select the drive, right? And they allocate the drive space by dragging the divider below. So on the left hand side is kind of like your available size for, well, this whole thing is like the whole entire thing of the disk that's available. And you can drag it back and forth. And what's really cool is it won't, I think it's idiot proof, so you can't like create the partition that'll mess up your your Windows install. But so you can always fool around with this and allocate how much you want. And this is so cool. And I'm just gonna do I don't know, let's just run with that. Okay, we'll hit install now. And before you can select the partition size, any previous changes have to be written to disk. Oh yeah, we want to go ahead and commit to that. And we're going to let it do its thing, and it's going to take a little bit. If you continue, the changes listed below and written on disk, otherwise will be okay. So it's just making you duly aware of what you're doing. And one thing I want to point out here is partition number 5 of SCSI1 is ext4, and ext4 is the format of what Linux runs on. If you're familiar with, like, we had those old things like FAT32 and NTFS, I think it is, and that's the Windows type of file systems. Well, Linux uses ext4, and that's just a factoid that you can have. So go ahead and hit continue, and it might take a while. And we're gonna go with, I am not in New York, I am not Chicago, I'm in the Midwest. Your name, cheese. And then Linux always makes you do a password. And hit continue. And it's gonna do its thing. And I'll probably go ahead and stop the video until something else important comes up to save some space. Alrighty. What do we have here? It says installation complete. Installation has finished. You can continue testing Linux Mint now or until you restart the computer. Any changes you make will be preserved. Okay, let's go ahead and hit restart now, shall we? Let's have a go at it. Nah. Let's see what happens. Alright, I got a message up there and it disappeared. And before, please remove the installation medium. I can't read it because of my camera. So let's go ahead and remove that from the back. I've got the USB drives taken out, and then press enter. Let's see what happens. And we should get a boot. Should be a GRUB loader if I'm not mistaken. And again, we might need to go to the BIOS. Yeah, see, the BIOS is still wondering, hey, we don't have a boot, you know, because we set it to do the USB, right? So we got to go into the BIOS and tell it to actually boot from the drive. So hit the F2. We'll come down here into our BIOS. Camera, don't mess with me. Boot sequence. So we need to come in here and then, goodness. I hate fooling with this thing. I gotta get my wireless mouse. I'll go ahead and put this wireless mouse, get it connected so I can work in here. So we want to unselect the USB, and then we will put the SATA hard drive. Okay, hit apply, exit. Let's see what happens, shall we? What's going to happen? Now it's thinking. We have two systems. What are we going to do? Well, let me go ahead and do a hard reboot. Oh, no. So Linux Mint popped up. So, well, what happens if we want to do Windows? Well, and now here's the fun part, is actually getting to select it. And with this old Dell OptiPlex, to get the GRUB menu up, you hit the shift button. You keep pressing it until you get the screen to come up. And there we go. You've got up here on the left, top left, you've got Linux Mint 22.1 Cinnamon. It's kind of hard to see. And you've got the advanced options, and then you have Windows 7. And, you know, let me see if I can zoom in a little bit more. Try to do 18.2 things at once. So here's where you can select, right? And to do this on this old Dell, it won't come up automatically. You have to hit the shift button while it's booting. And you can leave it on fast boot. So let's go ahead and boot up Windows first. Let me back out of here. We got Windows coming up. Let's do its thing. I'll probably speed up the video, not to bore you. Okay, we'll just go ahead and skip that. And we got Windows, old school Windows 7. And we've got installing driver software. I'm not sure why I was complaining about that disk check. I don't know, maybe my disk is old, or maybe there's something, I don't know, but it's working so far. So we've got Windows 7, right? And maybe it's because I hadn't Windows 7 fully updated from the install, but as you can see, we got Windows 7 running here. Yeah, I mean, it's doing stuff. So I don't have anything on it like we've seen. It's a clean install, right? It's running. So let's go ahead and do a restart. And once again, I'm hitting the shift button. You can probably hear me clicking away, pushing away. Let's see if the boot menu comes up, GRUB menu comes up. Yeah, okay. So we're going to head and hit Linux Mint 22. There we go. And we've got the welcome screen. And then we've got the Linux Mint working. So there you go. That was a walkthrough of doing a dual boot setup for Windows 7 and Linux Mint. And I hope this is helpful for people out there who are interested in doing a dual boot setup. And with these old hardwares, you know, you're going to have to be patient, and things aren't always going to work out, and you're going to have to fool around with the BIOS to make these things work. And it should be a little bit easier with newer hardware, and basically the process will be the same if you have hardware that wasn't made like back in 1982. But there you go. I really hope this is helpful for people out in the community, and I look forward to making another informational video for everyone out there. See ya. Bye-bye.